Hey y'all, Clyde. I live across the street, 200 block of East Bank. I was hoping for a public hearing on the signage wayfaring, but I noticed we didn't have one. So given this opportunity, I can still speak. I've been to all those meetings. Many of them were lunch meetings where I was never invited to attend or speak. And I have called Buzz on several occasions to meet with him and show him how wonderful Salisbury is, and to copy some signage features, for example, the windows around town with the tracery, the 1920 brackets on the bus stations, and I have prepared many hours I worked on that to share with him what Salisbury has. So what did we get? He didn't return my call and refused to meet with me, and he was paid, I understand, $30,000, and he's a friend of Joe Morris, who still is on a retainer for $1,000 a month. And we don't have a chance to say anything about what these signs look like. So what we got is computer-generated art by an out-of-town consultant. I'm sure they'll do fine, but I'm concerned that they have mistakes on them, and after 10 years, that's exactly my point, they need to be edited. I'm sure that they have mistakes. Not unlike if you look over your head, the City of Salisbury's seal has the wrong date. If you'll consult Jethro Rumpel's history, it's 1755. We have discussed that many times. The boundary signs that Mr. Joe Morris gave us have the wrong date, and those were supposed to be corrected. I'm afraid when these signs get up, they will be permanent, and they won't be able to be corrected. And no one has been able to look at these signs or see these signs. I've been to every meeting, and we have never seen them. I couldn't see them today because I couldn't see around the corner to see the screen. Thank you very much.
So you're saying the date should be 1755?
Yes, sir.
Can you look into that for us? Make sure, we're not making a mistake.
Man, I tell this date to hundreds of third graders every year.
What date do you give them?
That one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Better call them back up.
I better call my third graders.
Good evening. My name is Emily Perry. I live at 101 Treetop Court in Salisbury. Thank you so much for taking time to listen. I am here primarily on behalf of our youth, on behalf of our citizens as a taxpayer. I am very concerned, I've said it before, regarding the Salvation Army having sole proprietorship at Miller Recreation Center. That should be open up for their after-school and summer programs, should be open up to other agencies and organizations other than the Salvation Army. I'm also concerned that your website states that out of the 13 programs that are listed for Miller Recreation Center, only 2 are operational. That is a shame. We want our youth, yes, to have jobs, but also we have to have some type of recreation in order to keep people in Salisbury. I'm concerned about the future of Salisbury in terms of knowing that just my little research, the past 2 years, we've had 4 professional African Americans to be fired from the recreation department. Those people have such a close relationship with the community and with our children that we need to take a good look at what is going on. At the same time, that is another set of people who we are losing funding because they no longer have jobs. We're losing money, so I'm asking that we look at what is going on. I have a question in terms of the HR director. Was the job ever advertised, as well as the qualifications for that HR director? And I'm stating that because I continue to hear over and over again about complaints of harassment, mistreatment, suspensions, and resignations on behalf of a numerous number of employees. The number I gave you 4 is just the rec park and recreation alone. There are others who have been dismissed, and we need to take a good look at what are we doing for the future of our county and our city. I'm asking for the HR department to be investigated because I think there's some questions about hiring practices and the treatment of our employees. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Let me ask you a question. My name is William Peoples. I live at 522 North Fulton Street. The question I want to pose to you is, what would you do if a situation like in Missouri happened here in Salisbury? Think about it. You know, I just heard two speakers here say something that I've been saying for a long time. The council really don't listen to what the citizens say. The council really don't want to hear the truth. The council is, I don't know where you're immune to stuff, but when citizens bring complaints, it needs to be investigated. It needs to be some recommendations, some changes, or whatever, if the majority of the community see that there's a change that needs to be made. Case in point, when you start looking at money coming out your pocket, how would you run the city different? You run the city with taxpayers' money, and all kind of things happen. We won't talk about the white elephant, or where nobody wants to talk about what happened with the city manager and all this money. We want to go past it. But don't you understand, by not dealing with the issue, it only just increases the tension, the frustration. One of the things that frustrates me more than anything, and I got to do a little homework about it, why is it the manpower staffing of the people out here on the street that do the work for the city has decreased and the load has increased along with the tax base? Case in point, I went to the street department because I was in a meeting. Livingstone had called 10 times about a tree and rubbish that need to be picked up, tree limbs and stuff. Well, the guy talked to me. He said he'd do it. But my question is this: there's 25 trucks that run up and down my house every day. Why is it that one of them can't take time to pick up the leaves or branches and all that right there without me having to call? That's because they're overloaded. They're working short. You don't have enough manpower. But when I see all this money that you're giving away and all this stuff, why is it that you can't give money to the employee so Salisbury can be clean? I challenge any of you to go through some of these neighborhoods, see how the grass is growing over the curb. That's your responsibility. You could have hired summer kids, not kids, but a little bit older, to deal with Roundup to kill the grass. You build new sidewalks. You don't take care of the maintenance on them.
Go ahead and
You're
let him
talking
finish.
about Long Street, putting a corridor down the middle of Long Street to narrow. Who gonna take care of this? So my concern is, are you really listening to the people when they come up here and talk to you? Or does it take something like what's going on in Missouri for you to open your eyes and see that, hey, we need to have a real dialogue. We need to talk to people. We need to let them vent and frustrate their feelings about what's happened. This thing, until you open up the door and just have a meeting where people can vent about all this fiascos that's happened in the city, it's gonna be just like a ball. And then one day it's gonna erupt, and then you go say, well, why did it happen? Because you don't listen to the people. You make decisions without talking to the people. And I'm gonna still say this, ma'am, you bought that park out there outside the city limits that you maintain when you can't take care of some of the stuff in the city. Look at the funds you putting up there. Does it benefit everybody in the community? No, it didn't. You knew it from the start. Everybody on council that voted for that knew it. Where's the bus that these inner city kids get up there?
All right, William, thank you. I'll let you go over right much. Thank you, William.
I will be back next time.
Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
No. A month.
Hi, my name is Sharon Freeman. I live at 156 Mahaley Avenue. My concern is the Miller Center. I'm a parent as well as a volunteer. I was born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, but I moved here in Salisbury, North Carolina in 1997. I have been volunteering since then. I have an organization, we march called Salisbury Drill Team. I march in every parade. We go to different homecomings out of state and in state. My concern now is my program is no longer here because of the fact of I can't go to the Miller Center with my kids. I have up to 20 to 60 kids in my program each school year. I run from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year. This year I have nowhere to bring the kids. Right now for the summer, I've been working out of my home. I just can't stop with the kids because these are kids that are in the community, key latch kids, and half the kids that I do have in my program, their parents are on drugs. So I'm working with really kids that really benefit a place to go and a stability of somewhere to be. I'm not gonna stop volunteering because of the Salvation Army is taking over the Miller Center. I can't stop because of that, because the kids are still looking at me for guidance, understanding. I don't only do drill team. I go to their schools. I go to whatever is needed. If they have a church function, I'm there for them. These kids really need a place to be, and there's nowhere right now. We talk about the kids are in gangs. It's not really that they're in gangs. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for people who are willing to love them, to understand and stand there for them. And that's me. That's who I'm gonna be. Because of the lack of facilities for the kids are going back to the streets. We really need to buckle up because like he said, Missouri is real and that can happen anywhere. I just hope you're taking this into consideration, what I'm saying now. I thank you for your time.
Thanks for speaking.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're familiar with her program. We've seen her kids at MLK Day, at Let's Get Connected Day, many city programs. It's a great program. Can we please ask city manager to work with Mr. Kyle and see what we can come up with?
Certainly, certainly.
Thank you. We're gonna see what we can do, Mrs. Freeman. I saw you say you couldn't hear me. Yes, ma'am.
Afternoon, Dee Dee Wright, 418 South Caldwell Street. I too am concerned about what's happening at Miller Rec. If you go online, they got all these programs listed, but they only have 2 that's functioning, Girl Scouts and Sweet Sounds of Guitar. We've talked with the Human Resource Director, wanted to know how did the Salvation Army get to Miller Rec. No one has been able to answer that question. No one. So it's a church organization. I understand that the minister from Soldiers said he has a church, he's running programs. Why couldn't they have been informed? Is something going on that's sinister in this city or dumb? One or the other. I can't believe that nobody can answer how the Salvation Army got to Miller Rec, who had a program over on Bringer Ferry. I don't understand that. However, I also asked Mr. Kyle for a copy of Diversity and Recruitment. He sent it to me and I thank him for it. In 2013, the city of Salisbury had 46% white, 32% black, 10% Hispanic. To date, July 24th, the city of Salisbury has 74% white folk working. The African American community has been reduced by 16%, and Hispanic has been reduced by 6%. I don't know if council is aware of this, or whether Mr. Softly or whoever is doing whatever it is that they do, but it's a sad commentary that we have a council that we have elected, selected a person to run the city, and asked absolutely nothing of the city manager. It appears. Let me preface that. Also, I want to know when the bleed is going to stop at the police department. It seems like we train them, Sheriff Alton takes them. In the last 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 officers that have gone to the sheriff department. I don't know if the chief is reporting to the city manager or what is going on. But somebody needs to be knowledgeable about something. Somebody needs to ask a question somewhere. Also, they have not been replaced. I don't have anything against the chief of police. I do have something against policemen not policing. We are hearing all over the nation now, community policing, community policing. So what does the chief do? Put a substation up there for 2 or 3 days? May I have one additional minute? Thank you.
Let her have one more minute.
Thank you. And we're not hearing what is going on. We're not hearing. You know, council, if the gangs that we have in this city, if they had one leader, they could destroy this city. Somebody who could do some strategic planning for them. Somebody needs to hear what is going on in this city, and particularly in the West End. You sent a black police officer to the West End. What happened to the white police officers? Why can't we get to know them as well? I would want to know them. There was one officer who I sat on a hiring committee that went to the sheriff's department. Something is wrong with our family in this city. Something is deeply wrong. And I ask you to please ask some questions about what is going on relative to policing and what is going on at Miller Rec. It's a travesty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Appreciate your comments.
Mr. Mayor, may I share about our meeting at the Miller Center?
Go ahead.
For the public to be aware, the mayor and I and Mr. Kyle and some staff met with 12 citizens from the West End community a week and a half ago, maybe, for 2 hours. We did 3 things. We identified questions and concerns. We identified wish it were like it used to be, and then we identified potential solutions. We gave all this information to Mr. Zach Kyle and his staff and promised the citizens that we would get back with them before the end of September to unveil the staff's ideas on how to reconcile the issues that they had brought to us. So we do hear the concerns about the Miller Center. We met with 12 citizens and we're working to develop plans.
Anybody else for the public hearing?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Floyd Curry III, and I live at 525 East Fisher Street. I'm a retired, almost 30-year employee of the city of Salisbury and Parks and Rec. I'm not here today to bash Parks and Rec. I hope what I got to say can help Parks and Rec. And the question I have is, why is all of the Salisbury Parks and Rec program and staff located and working out of COB? That's $200,000 in tax bills money going to a staff that's working from 9 to 5, don't work weekends, and don't work holidays. Everything that they do at COB, they can do in our recreation centers. Our kids are being pushed in the streets because there are no activities. They go to the recreation centers. You know, they don't know what time they open. You can go to the center, to Hall's Gym right now. It's open on Saturdays from 10 to 2. Go over there from Saturday on 10 to 2. Go one Saturday it might be open, the next Saturday it might be closed. In my 30 years of working in Parks and Rec, I worked for 6 directors, and I just don't know what type of model that y'all are working from. When I worked in Parks and Rec, I worked from 2 to 10, 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week. Parks and Rec is a service organization, the same as the police department, the same as the fire department. Do they get weekends off? Do they get holidays off? You know, what I'm saying is that Parks and Rec probably needs a director again. They need a young director that can come in and make this thing work. You got a large park out on Hurley School Road that I ran. I was the original manager of it. That park should be self-sustaining by now. It's been open 13 years, and everybody making money out there except the city of Salisbury. Everybody. You know, you got soccer fields out there, and your Parks and Rec don't have a soccer program. You know, and I work for Parks and Rec in the heyday. You know, when we had 1,000 kids in our basketball program. The city park tennis program was one of the top 2 in the state. You know, I'm proud that I worked for Parks and Rec. I had there was 30 great years, and I want to see Parks and Rec get back to that. You know, but you can't do it with the model that you're working with now. Like I said, you got the entire staff working out of one building, and what are they doing? Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You, sir.
Thanks for your 30 years, too.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Olin Brunner. I live at 901 South Jackson Street here in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm here today with a couple of quick questions for City Council. My first question for City Council is, I am a preacher, I can project, is I was going through the church mail. Vibrant sent us a bill. And in the bill that we received from Vibrant, it showed that you gave people an upgrade in their services. 20 by 20 got pushed up to 50 by 50. No charge. Extra, that's what they were paying. Now, they classified the church as a nonprofit business. We got 15 by 2, and we pay $55 a month. 15 by 2? That's what I said too. But y'all sent that to me, so I looked into it, and then they told me at Vibrant, oh, well, business always pays more. 15 by 2? Y'all need to look into that. Business ought to be able to have more bandwidth, and we do pay more. Second question. There was a house, I think the address is 219 Chestnut Street. It burnt over a year ago. I spoke to the police about this maybe 6-7 months ago. They made sure that things got a little boarded up, but how long before we talk about this being a house that is blighted? The roof is out completely. It is not being worked on. Nobody's working to do anything with the property. It has become a blight in the neighborhood. And I'd like for City Council to check into that and see, well, what do we have to do to get it knocked down?
I can answer that.
Oh, well, my time's up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for the public hearing? Or the public comment, I'm sorry, public comment? I'll close that.